Don't worry. And it's my pleasure, actually. Okay, I think it will work now. If YouTube lets me. Ok, now it's back on.
Yay!
Tá, gente, desculpa mais uma vez. A internet me odeia. É muito difícil fazer isso aqui funcionar tudo bonitinho, direitinho. Mas voltamos. Eu vou voltar com a primeira pergunta pra Kerri e aí vocês escutam de novo. So, back to the first question, just so everybody hears everything. Why did you decide to write about Jack the Ripper specifically? Why did you choose that serial killer to discuss in the book?
I have just always really been obsessed with the case.
Okay.
I have always been fascinated by the whodunit aspect of it.
Yeah.
Since it's so famously unsolved, it was kind of just like that great area for a writer to come in and just be like, well, what if this happened? And I love the all-important what-if question. So, yeah, for the first case, it felt kind of like the perfect way to intro Audrey Rose and her world of forensic science.
It's really cool.
What's the question?
You had to do a lot of research, probably with forensics and the case of Jack the Ripper. What was the most weird or disgusting thing that you found in your research? Is there like one thing or just a series of really weird out things?
I mean, pretty much the whole thing was just bizarre. Like, I know that I ended up on FBI watch lists with some of the things with like bodies and, you know, what an autopsy is like. I really had to do a lot of research into how an autopsy is done. The really cool thing is that there's this website called casebook.org.
Yeah.
And it actually has the medical examiners who worked on the Ripper victims. Like, they uploaded their notes to it, so you can kind of read their own.
That's really cool.
Which is pretty, you know, morbidly cool, but
still pretty cool.
So, just, you know, regular Monday stuff to look up. Yeah, I think the grossest thing I looked up was what a body smelled like before trauma or after trauma. And that's kind of, I think there's a description in there, like, of a whole chicken or a canned chicken or something along those lines. And I was just kind of, like, really grossed out by it. And I was like, well, do I put it in? But
oh, and that's why you became a vegetarian.
Right.
I'm totally turned. If I weren't already, I'd totally turn vegetarian after that.
It would be understandable.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the strangest facts that I learned about that.
Oh, that is disgusting. But talking about different things, something that a lot of people are curious actually is why did you decide to do? Oh, actually, was your first thought to do a series of standalones, or did you thought about doing a continuous series? Was it your decision, or just something that your agent or your publisher suggested later on?
That's a really good question. I actually don't get that a lot.
Oh, really? Wow. That was kind of my first question.
Yeah, that was actually a decision that I had made. I really enjoy adult mystery series. The kind where you get, like, the same main characters from book to book, but the whole cases that they solve are different ones. And I really like the option of being able to pick up whatever story you want to do. And if you like the characters, if you want to pick up the first one or the second one. But, yeah, kind of where you'll have, like, the character growth from book to book or, like, the same relationship drama.
Yeah. But,
yeah, that was something that I kind of wanted as a reader, and I kind of leaned that way when we were going into it. So
that's really cool.
It was all me.
But do you have a preference for standalone novels or series, or it doesn't really matter to you?
It depends on what genre I'm doing. Mystery series, I like the standalone mysteries. I like them to all be kind of solved within that universe of that book. It just kind of gives me that really, I get lost in the mystery of it, and I want my whole little CSI to be solved. You know, but fantasy books, I really like series.
Yeah.
I just get a kick out of following them from book to book, and I think the authors who are able to kind of have those storylines that go from, you know, the first to the third or the fourth in some of them, that's really something I admire as a reader.
Yeah. I was going to say that it's really rare to find a fantasy author that creates a whole universe and plot, and it's so full in just one book. It's really rare to find one standalone fantasy book, but when you do, you always know it's going to be great because it's so hard to fit all that into one thing.
And then I always find myself where it's like, oh, I just want a second book in the series. I love it so much. Like, give me more. So I struggle with it. I think I do.
Yeah.
one time really like standalones, but at the same time, once I fall in love with characters, I just want to read forever.
I think we can all relate to that. I think we all had some novels that we went, I just want some more.
Just give me more of them, please.
I think
I come over and make you breakfast. Fan fiction for me is like barter.
Well, when I get so involved with the story and with a writer's writing style and all that, I just say, oh, dude, I read your grocery list. Seriously, you can write anything, and I'll be reading it. Because please write something else.
Just write something, just even
anything. No, those doodles you do when you answer a phone call, just that. You can just give me that. It's fine. I think one of the strongest things in Stalking Jack the Ripper, and one of my favorite things, is actually Audrey Rose, the character itself. And there's a question from one of my followers. Her name is Fernanda, and she asked, where did you get inspiration to write her? Was it based on a character you wanted to develop something else, or did you get some things out of your personality? Actually, there's another question close to that, and asks how close Audrey Rose is to you, personally or physically, mentally.
I think that Audrey Rose and I would be really, really great friends.
Yeah.
You could see, like, just really sitting down, and we would have a lot of things in common to talk about. For the inspiration behind her, I'm trying to think. My agent and I had gone out on submission with 2 other book projects before I started in Stalking Jack the Ripper. And we had come, like, all the way to the end where we were almost getting our yes for that publishing contract, and then it fell through at the last minute. Oh. So I was definitely heartbroken and kind of questioning, you know, maybe I shouldn't be an author, maybe it's just not meant for me to be. And we were kind of just talking about what are things that I like, just, you know, outside of the book world and everything. And I love forensics. I was an art student.
Oh, that's cool.
I almost horrified my parents with wanting to do forensics for a while, so I stopped doing art school, and I ended up going to community college, and I took science classes, and I took criminal justice courses, and I got really serious about it. But then it was something that was just kind of like not really it for me.
Yeah.
And then I kind of decided to go with writing, where I could take all the different little things that I loved and my passions and kind of put them into characters and give them stories. So it kind of like melded the two, but yeah. I definitely wanted a female character who was good at science.
Yes!
Apologetically so, because that was not my experience in school. I had great teachers, but I also had teachers who kind of just didn't really, they fully believed that science and math were the boys. They were excelling at that, and girls just, it wasn't for them.
It's that physical pain. Literally physical pain.
Really so important to have a girl who just went after her passions with science, and she doesn't apologize for it, and she knows what she wants, and I felt that was just, it was something I would really like to read, and I hoped that would kind of connect with other people too.
I'll just keep ahead on my list now that we were talking about that, and like I said, one of the things I like the most about the book is Audrey Rose and her development, her whole storyline and character arc. The scene where I'm not going to say the whole thing because now it's a spoiler-free moment, but then we'll do the spoiler-full later. But the scene where she stands up, and literally stands up, and she's wearing pants and boyish, per se, clothes. It's just like, to me, it's such a simple act, but it's also her empowering moment. So she's been growing throughout the story as this great character, and that moment is just like, nah, not here. You're not gonna bully me for being a woman. And I was wondering if you develop her storyline not only separately from a scientist and a detective, like going through the story, and her storyline as a woman, was it something, a different thought, or you just thought, oh, as much as she's going to grow as a scientist and learn and be more and more invested in this case, she's going to grow as a woman. Now you mentioned, I think both storylines are actually pretty close, right? So how was it? Yeah. Was it like something consciously made? Did she just grow? She just naturally grew?
That was one of the things that I definitely wanted to kind of show her unfolding, because the Victorian era, I mean, with all of its restrictions and everything, that I just can't fathom being stifled that way on so many different levels, but also from your corsets to just society restrictions too, with who you had to listen to and obey, and just you had to be this perfect person, especially when you're in a highborn class, and I couldn't fathom that. So, and also with the Jack the Ripper case, it's kind of the innocence of the whole era, where you've got just this polite society. No one's really had a serial killer before, so they don't really expect there to be the growing bodies that are being discovered.
Yeah.
So I think that as the book progressed, where it's kind of almost like that loss of innocence that I wanted to kind of slowly dip into, where she wouldn't expect bodies, she wouldn't expect there to be more. That's why she's going out and stalking Jack the Ripper. She doesn't, like, who would know that there is going to actually be more crime? Like, that's unheard of. So I think that between that and her slowly finding her own voice and standing up for herself, it's kind of like that progression of as the murders are going on, she's finding herself, even though it's going through this really scary, hard time too.
Yeah, and definitely being...
to
and definitely being a forensics, like you can see, she builds confidence not only in herself but in her work as well. At first, she's like a shy to share the laboratory, the place where they do the whole thing with Thomas, and she's intimidated, and then she's just, no, I got this, stay back, I'm good at this. And it's really nice to see that not only, it's not a story about how she does that, but it's kind of a subliminary message. As you're reading the book, you feel more and more connected to her as a woman, and not only as a character who's going to maybe solve the mystery. I don't know. I'm not going to say, because it's not time for spoilers yet.
Still spoiler free.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was something that I was hoping would come across, but you never know if it's actually coming across or not coming across. So that was something that I had hoped for.
That's good. You've achieved it.
Yeah, thank you.
There was a question from Juliana, and she asked, did you get inspired to write Audrey Rose's story by Sherlock Holmes novels or Agatha Christie? What authors inspired you to do so?
So when I was first talking to my agent, we were having that brainstorming session, and we were kind of throwing out the things that I liked. I was like, I like CSI, and I like Nancy Drew, and I like Sherlock and Watson. And then as we were kind of discussing a little bit further, it was like, I would really like, if I'm going to do like a Sherlock-inspired novel with detectives, that I really want my Dr. Watson to be a female. I felt that it was really, really strong. So I kind of, they started off those two definitely like characteristics of Sherlock and Watson, where I love the tension and the banter between those real characters, and that was something that I thought would be really fun to kind of try to emulate and create my own, just their banter back and forth. So, Thomas originally wasn't going to be quite what he has turned into for the series. It's just going to be like a side character, kind of just like the Sherlockian side character. And he definitely kind of wrote his own rules with just asserting himself into the novel.
That's really cool. I think to me, Audrey is such a strong character and carries out the story so well that I like all the other characters. I actually have the cards here. You can see it, but I have the cards that they send with the book, the character cards, and I just organized them. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. I have them organized in the order that I like the characters the most. So it's like Audrey is on top, and the other characters are like behind her, but they're all like upside down because like, oh, okay, I just flip it, it's fine, they're all fine. But my order is Audrey, then Thomas, then her uncle Jonathan, then Nathaniel, Liza, William Blackburn, and Edmund Wadsworth. That's my order, but we can talk about that more on the spoiler-full section. I have one last question before we move to the spoilers part. It's also from a follower, and it's called Isadora, and she said how much she liked you mixed up modern attitudes and modern actions in the Victorian sets of London, in the Victorian London, and she asked, how did you choose how to balance the characters' attitudes and how would they just like take a step back and just dive into the culture at the time? Like Audrey is obviously a feminist and she takes actions towards feminism, but she cannot just, oh, let's all start voting and let's everybody use pants and stuff like that, because it was too extreme for the time, let's say. Yeah. How did you balance what would be modern and what would be 19th century London?
What I imagined was, when I was doing my research for the feminism parts of it, because I couldn't fathom just having a very quiet main character who wasn't going to comment on some of the more sexist patriarchy that was going on. For it just,
I'm so happy.
It was really hard to get into that mindset too of like not exploding if someone was going to do something. So yeah, some of the things that she had to go through, they were very, very difficult to write.
Yeah.
For me, but I imagined. I took some inspiration from The Vindication of the Rights of Women, or Woman, I believe it is, and that was written in 1780s, 1790s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the introduction to modern feminism. Yeah. It was written by Mary Shelley's mother, and I found that to be very, very fascinating. So I kind of thought, like, Audrey's mother, I imagined to be someone who was more progressive, who was reading these kinds of novels, who was kind of teaching her daughter to have her own voice. You know, not going crazy in society, but just passionately believing in her own stuff and following her dreams and not being kind of limited by her sex. So, yeah, I imagined her mother being inspired by that, and then just the suffragette movement that was starting to go on, and, you know, the 1840s and 1850s and 1860s, women were already trying to slowly start putting in the we want equal rights. So I imagined that all that stuff is going on in the world around her.
Mm-hmm.
And how would that shape someone who was a 17-year-old coming up in this time where it's like you are starting to hear female voices that are trying to rise up, and what must that have been like, especially because you still have this serious male society that it's like you ignore those women, they're just, you know, all kinds of names. So yeah, kind of imagining a teenager, much like, you know, with what's going on in the world today, but that back in the Victorian era.
Yeah, patriarchy still lives, for now. There was a question here that's really cool that we could ask before we move to the spoiler part, is if you could choose, would you rather see Audrey's story adapted to TV or to the movies?
I would definitely like to see a television series.
Okay.
I kind of imagine it as a Victorian era CSI or a Gothic Nancy Drew, and I think that it would be really fun to see it broken down and really have creators take the time with the characters and kind of develop some of that more CSI forensic type thing.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to have like a Victorian era CSI on television. I would gobble it up.
Yeah, I could totally imagine like a CSI with the Sherlock vibe to it, but a little bit of Downton Abbey vibe as well, because it's like centuries back, so it has to be more of a Downton Abbey thing. But
so definitely having like the historical aspect to it, so I think it could be fun. I think it would be most fun to have a television series. But
yeah, that would be really cool. Can someone do that, please? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start with the spoilers, and the first one is really spoilery, so I'm just gonna let everybody know that it's going to start. So if anybody who doesn't want any spoilers leaves or mutes or something. Gente, vamos começar com a parte de spoiler agora. Então agora vai ter spoiler. Minha primeira pergunta tem um spoiler muito grande. Então se você não leu o livro ainda e você não quer saber o que vai acontecer, muta aqui o bate-papo e aqui no chat a gente vai avisar quando fizer uma pergunta sem spoiler, quando você puder assistir de novo. Mas vai ter spoiler, sejam avisados. Cuidado. Okay, so I let everybody know because I wanted to ask this for a long time. So when you started to think about the story and how the story would go, you started writing it. Did you already know that Nathaniel would be the killer, or was it something that just happened? Oh, okay, no, I haven't decided yet, and then the story just moved on, and okay, this is going to be the one.
Usually what I like to do before I start writing is that I come up with these character bios, and I find that I have to know who each character is, kind of what their goals are, what their wants are, so I can kind of get in there and really mess up their time of things, or like their journey is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
So I like to just wreak as much havoc as possible. So I knew Nathaniel was always going to be Jack the Ripper. I felt that it would kind of be like the whole, again, like the innocence lost of not only the world with the Jack the Ripper case and kind of how shock value it was, and the newspapers are just like glorifying this monster who's among them, and just like that sense of like, you know, that life will forever be altered because now that people have been exposed to these kind of horrors, that it's just the way it is. So I thought it would be, poor Audrey Rose, I mean, I thought it would be especially difficult and a horror for her to find out, where it's like you can kind of see like the path for Nathaniel, and it's like, as a reader, like I think I know, but it's like for her, she is almost like, this is someone you love.
Yeah, she's oblivious to that, and I think it's really interesting how it's not just some random guy, it's someone close to her, and to see the perspective of someone so close to a story like that is so rare. And
I think that was one of the things that I was really trying to go for with it, where it's like, even if you see the writing on the wall, where it's like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's him, but then I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure. Just thinking of like the utter devastation that she would go through, where it's like, when you finally do have the reveal, it's like, the pieces were there the whole time, and it's just, it would be such an awful thing to know that someone in your family that you love was capable of doing this when all you could see is the good things. And I think it kind of brings in those gray areas too, where it's like people who are serial killers, even to this day, it's like they still have families. Like a lot of times they live a double life, and they've got wives and children, and you know what that must be like for them to really, you know, have the truth revealed. And I think it's the same thing with people nowadays, where it's like, how did you not know? And they do a good job at hiding it, or you just, it's that combination that you just don't want to be, you know, seeing the truth of someone you care about.
It's not even a possibility in your head to think that that person who shares your bed, or who's always there laughing and all that, how can that person be killing so remorselessly other people just for the sake of it? And when you hear his whole explanation, I had my list of suspects throughout the book. So I never thought Thomas would be the killer. Never. It never crossed my mind. And then I moved on. Oh, her uncle? Nah. It's too easy. It's too easy. Such an easy choice to do. Oh, their uncle, the scientist. And then her dad. And I think the end, like the second half of the book, you kind of pushed towards, oh, maybe it's her dad. Maybe it's her dad. You see what her dad did. But then the scene with the chariot, the vehicle thing.
The carriage.
Yeah, the carriage. The carriage. And I saw that, like, no, that's not her dad. No, oh shit, it's her brother. No. And then I started to freak out. I had no idea why he would be doing that. I just thought it would be the air quotes, stereotypical patriarchy reason to do this, that, oh, women who are prostitutes are disgusting and women shouldn't be doing that. So, oh, she's going to rely on the patriarchy, but no, it was so much more than that.
It went in a really different way.
It was a really Mary Shelley, Frankenstein vibey thing. I was like, no, my God. I had no idea this was coming.
Right, so I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yes, a lot.
He really liked science, and it's like they're siblings, you know? It's like they grew up under the same circumstances. And I think that kind of goes into like serial killers of today, where it's like people often ask, where it's like, where are the signs? Like if you have a sibling and they didn't grow up that way, like how did they become this? Like where did their paths diverge, you know? Or why is Audrey Rose taking the route of being a forensic scientist and trying to help that way? And why did he decide to murder people and try to bring their mother back? You know, like where did those wires get crossed? So
I love the irony of her dad always being so, oh, my brother is guilty and he's crazy and he could totally be doing one of these things, and it's right under his nose. Like, oh, there you go. I love the irony of oh, hey, did you see this one? It is her brother, but not yours.
Right. I mean, so I thought that would all be fun too, and I hope that would come across to you.
Yeah. No, yeah, it did. Totally did.
Just the things where it's like all the warnings that he had, or the nerves about setting her free even, or being out, and it's kind of like the monster was already in the house type of thing. So it's like you almost cage someone in with a monster unbeknownst to everyone. And I think that just kind of trying to explore that dynamic. It was really dark and creepy to imagine, because my family is great. I love my family. Sorry to my sister and my mom. But yeah, so I figured that would be a completely horrible thing for her father and for her and the whole family.
The whole family. How do you feel when you get you probably get a lot of tweets and messages with theories and people saying, oh, I think it's this person, or I think the story is gonna go this way. How does it feel to get all those theories and ideas, and maybe some of them diverge completely from what you try to show? Sometimes people think, oh no, it's definitely going to be Thomas, who's completely the opposite of Nathaniel in the story. Is it interesting to see how people try to guess the final?
It's really fun. I really love seeing readers. I mean, sometimes the live tweet, I know even some of my friends will text me while they're reading. They'll have all their theories going, and I just kind of like sit back and like, keep reading. So, yeah, no, I love seeing people. I think it's just people getting passionate about a book or getting involved in the story, even when people are like, oh, I solved it before she did. I love that. I think it's fabulous that people are getting involved and, putting their little mystery caps on, and it's just something that really, it brings me a lot of joy. And yeah, when they see like, oh, this was not where I thought this was going, then that I also feel like an evil author because I laugh.
Yeah, totally evil to do something like that. I wouldn't do it. But I meant to say also that it's really cool that your book was published by the Jimmy Patterson publishing thing. I don't know how you call it in English. Imprint. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. That was really cool. Congratulations. It's the first book. It was also your first book, right? Your first novel.
My first published book, and I still, to this day, like my mom and my dad and I and my sister, I'm just like, I can't believe James Patterson wrote my book, let alone like published it, and it was the first one under his imprint, and that wasn't done by him. So it's just been such an honor and a whirlwind, and bigger than I could have ever hoped or dreamed when I just wanted to, write my little historical, quiet novel. So I thought beforehand.
So my question is actually related to it being historical. I read a lot of YA. If you see my shelf, half of it is probably YA novels. And I've read fantasy, I've read dystopia, contemporary, all there is. But I think Stalking Jack the Ripper might be the first historical / mystery I've ever read. I usually stay away from mysteries or suspense or something like that. To be honest, mostly because they're written by men, and probably there's going to be one woman. She won't be named, and she'll die. So that's disturbing. So I usually stay away from that. But your book really caught me. It got my attention. I reached a point. I was like, oh no, I have to know how it's going to end. So it got me really interested in the story. And I wanted to ask you if you've read other YA mystery or suspense novels, or mostly adults, but that you recommend to the readers who love Stalking Jack the Ripper, aside, obviously, from your other books that are coming out soon. But
that's a really good question.
Woof! I'm glad.
Wanted to read, and I haven't done it yet, but One of Us is Lying by Kerri Maniscalco. I have heard so many amazing things about it. It's a thriller. It's, the whole concept of 4 or 5 people go into a room and only 4 or 3 walk out, like someone dies.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to unravel. I haven't gotten to read that. That's like one of my...
Yeah, I've heard about it as well, but I haven't started. I read like the first chapter, and it's really, whoa, someone really died in a spectrum of like 5 minutes. How did it happen?
No, sorry to the people. That's awful to say. But yeah, I mean, I love books like that. So I really want to read that one. Very upsettingly, I started Sadie by Courtney Summers on the way to ALA last week, and I had 2 of my flights got canceled, and the second flight got canceled. I put my book down, and I got my little bag, and I went over to the airport guy, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, and then when I found out that flight was canceled till the next morning, I left Sadie in the airport, and I was like 100 pages in, and it was so good. That one will be coming out in a few months, I think. I'm not sure of the date, but that's kind of like a crime podcast. It reads exactly like a crime podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was a really cool format. It was something I hadn't seen done before. So, yeah, I was really enjoying that one. So I hope whoever picked it up, that they're really enjoying it now.
Well, someone got a really good arc.
Someone got a good arc. So I hope I liked it, because I was like, I got back to the hotel room, I put my pajamas on, I was like, okay, at least I have my book. And then I opened my thing, I was like, I do not have my book. Life is over.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Book nerd problems, it was
yes.
awful. I was like, called my mom, and I was like, I can't, what am I supposed to do?
I don't have a book with me, how can I live?
I was like, I don't want to put the TV on.
I totally get that. I totally get that feeling.
That was my problem. But yeah, those are the ones that I really am excited about for mysteries or thrillers. I'm sure that there's a couple others, and I'm just blanking.
I think it's really...
Jenna Armitage series, too. Like, the Stephanie Plum novels, I think that they're really funny. They're just off the wall. I used to really like reading those.
Yeah. I think that it's really new to see. I think YA has reached pretty much all the subgenres it could, from all the way from fantasy to contemporary. And I think mystery was something that was lacking a little bit there. So we've seen, I think Stephanie Perkins wrote a mystery one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I haven't gotten to read that one either.
Me neither. I want to, because I read Stephanie Perkins' Anna and the French Kiss, and they're so cute and adorable books. Like, oh my god, she wrote a mystery. That's cool. Like, yeah.
Oh
and then you have that one, and then Kerri Maniscalco, and then your books. And I think there's a new wave of mystery YA coming up, hopefully.
Which is exciting, because I didn't really see too many of them beforehand, which is kind of where, with that whole brainstorming thing, where it's like, this is the book that I really want to read. Like, I love these kinds of books. I wish that there were, like, multiple more of them out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that we keep seeing, like, oh, there's another really great book. I can't believe I forgot about it in August, and I don't think I have an arc of it right here, but it's called Girl at the Grave by Terry Bailey Black.
Okay.
And if people like Thomas Cresswell, I always say that one of the main characters in this book, it could be his cousin, his brother, like, you'll love this book. It's just this really dark, gothic mystery in a small town, and yeah, I really fell in love with that one. I got just so immersed in it. It was a good time for murder mysteries.
That's really cool. Now that you mentioned Thomas, there's actually a question from the chat box here, and they ask if Thomas was inspired in someone real from your life, whether it's someone that you know or one of the suspects from the original Jack the Ripper story.
Ooh, that would have been a really...
I think a couple of people actually asked that.
With whoever asked that was a good idea. No, I can't claim that was the inspiration. And as far as knowing anyone, definitely I try to keep all of my characters totally fictional. I feel that it would kind of be weird or bring in murky waters if someone wasn't really flattered by them, where it's like, is this what you really
There's always that risk.
So I try really hard, yeah. So unfortunately, Thomas is just a figment of my imagination, but I imagine that he could be out there somewhere. So
and I'm going to ask a little bit more about him later. Amy asked if you've encountered any prejudice or patriarchy thoughts on the story while you're writing it, because it's a woman writing about a woman in the 19th century who's a scientist, and there's a lot of forensics and all that. I'm guessing not, because probably the James Patterson imprint was really welcoming, but you never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone at Jimmy Books has been so on board with these characters, and James Patterson too. I mean, he has been, when we first signed up for doing the deal with them, I was a little bit nervous, because you have James Patterson. He's like the most prolific mystery and thriller writer of all time so far, and to have him, I was a little nervous that he might just really kind of step in and be like, oh, I want you to really change this or change that. And he was amazing. I mean, the whole step of the way, he's just been very, very passionately, this is my story, my voice, my book, and to just really edit and to make it shine, but to make sure that the integrity of the story stays the same and that the vision is there. And he's really been a writer's writer, is what my editor calls him. And yeah, he's been so supportive and of my little girl in STEM, and just really, yeah. So I've been very, very lucky to not encounter anything in the publishing world with anyone kind of giving me any grief about the story. So
that's great. That's really cool. Woof, that's a relief.
I know. It was better than I could have hoped for or imagined. So yeah, I mean, really, he's been just incredible. So I can't sing his praises enough with.
Oh, that's really cool. Because I think we always go to. I think you studied a bit of forensics and even art school, publishing world. We always have that. Oh, okay. I'll just be careful and try to find if anyone's being sexist or anything. We always like have this protection, this shield up. Okay, probably something's gonna happen, and when it doesn't, it's like, whoa, nothing happened. It's cool. People are nice. That's
right,
a relief.
I think that we are very it's the world that we live in. It's how we grow up. It's what we're built to think that there's just going to be something that comes in. So yeah, it's very, very refreshing and such a pleasant surprise when there isn't any of that. And
I think that's something that actually Audrey can relate, because now that you just sorry to interrupt you, but now you just said that Audrey kind of has that certainty that it's going to happen. Her society, the whole society, is completely sexist at the time, so she's always expecting a sexist comment or the patriarchy to just, oh no, you can't do this or you can't do that. To her, it's kind of more intense. Like when you put yourself in her shoes, you never have the thought, oh, maybe people will be nice and not be sexist, because that was the standard thought.
Crap about this, sir. Yeah, give me a hard time. I think that she just kind of waits for it, and she'll be quietly prepared. And I always give her credit because, like I said, with some of the things, like the police officer at the end, where he's kind of like, I don't know, like,
I hate the police officer.
That Blackburn come in, it's like that just, oh my gosh, some of those things, they were just like so hard for me to write because I just want to smack them. Get over yourself.
I really do not like Blackburn. I knew he was a rotten apple. I knew it. I never liked the guy who said, oh, he's going to be nice. No, he's not. Don't fall into that trap.
Not a good guy. He was fun. He was a fun character.
Probably fun to write. Yeah, definitely.
Not sad to see him go, but yeah.
No, it's fine.
Just because of like that double crossing, or you know.
How did it feel to invest? How long did you take to write the book and revise it all the way through, like from the first draft to the publishing? How long did it take?
I want to say that I think that the first draft was like 4 months.
Okay.
I can usually draft them pretty quickly because the first draft, I always say I'm telling myself the story.
Yeah.
So I know that the magic is going to happen in revisions, and a lot of things end up getting cut or changed. And
yeah.
Yeah, so I think after that, I sent it to my agent a couple of times, and we did a couple of revisions. Probably for like another 2 or 3 months after that, we went back and forth. And then she was curating her list of editors and who she thought would be a good fit for them. And once we got the offer from my editor now, Jenny, we went over it a couple more times. And then we did copy edits and first pass pages and all that stuff. So yeah, then we had like another good, solid, I think probably, we were fast tracked for it.
Yeah, it was pretty fast.
2015. And it actually got published in September of 2016, so it was like an 11-month thing, which is
that's really fast.
Really quick.
Yeah.
It's about 18 months, so yeah, we did it in 11.
Okay. So you were invested in the story for about a year or so. How was it to take 2 or maybe more? I don't know how many characters will go to the next book, but Audrey and Thomas, how was it to take them from that environment that they were and change the scenario and change the mystery and change the interaction with other characters, probably the interaction between themselves? I think I read somewhere that in the Dracula book, the second book, there's a lot more of Thomas' past and a lot more of character development there. I didn't read a lot of it. I'll be waiting for the Brazilian edition of it. But how was that change of pace, of scenario?
Well, I want to say that it was really fun, but I also was really awful to Audrey Rose for that book. So I really put her through.
Oh my God.
She's struggling with the aftermath of the whole chapter of her revelation. So she has a really tough time of it, but I loved it. I mean, I loved getting to meet new characters. There are so many fun characters that we meet. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler. I'm trying to think, but we do meet someone from Thomas's family, and
oh my God,
actually originally in Stalking Jack the Ripper, but we cut that scene, so I was really excited to be able to introduce that character into this next book. And I kind of say that Stalking Jack the Ripper is my introduction to Audrey Rose and her world and her forensics, and Hunting Prince Dracula is where I give a little bit more of Thomas's story. So it's kind of my Thomas book.
That's really cool.
I'm saying too much more.
And would Houdini be the third book is Escaping Houdini? No.
Escaping from Houdini.
Escaping from Houdini, yeah. So that one would probably be like the half and half. Audrey and Thomas is reaching. Oh, that's really cute. I love that cover.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that for that one, it's kind of, again, without spoiling, it's just, it dives into some of Audrey's fears. It's a book about illusions.
Yeah.
And make-believe, and she kind of goes undercover in this book. So
ooh, cool.
I have a lot of fun with that, and there'll be an author's note at the end, because one of my dad's friends, and again, none of this is a spoiler, but one of my friends was an undercover cop in New York City for 30 years.
Whoa.
So he would always kind of tell me stories about the dangers of going undercover and how if you're not mentally prepared, you can start, slowly starting to believe that you are becoming the person you're pretending to be. So it was kind of fun to play with that kind of illusion and,
That's really cool.
stuff, the drama that comes with that. So yeah, it's easy for them. I like to say that, everyone's like, oh, they ship Audrey and Thomas so much, and some ships need waves. That's that book.
There's actually a just pop up the question about kind of related to that. Was there any mystery or story that you wanted to write that didn't fit in the books or Audrey's storyline that you picture, and you might write it in the future in another series, or maybe you're going to prolong Audrey's series? But is there any specific story you think, I should tell my version of this, like you did with all the characters in the third books?
I'm trying to think. Well, the fourth book I'm just drafting now, and I feel that that's going to be, it'll be, trying to think of what to say without spoilers.
Oh my god.
It's going to be it'll come full circle, I feel like, for their stories and their character arcs and everything that's going on with the case and everything. So, yeah, it'll kind of bring it all back in together, and I really feel confident with ending the series on that note. I mean, it's really sad. I feel like at the same time, as I'm writing, I kind of almost choke up because it's it's the last time I'm going to be opening the book with them, and I'm an emotional mess about it. But
it's fine. We'll probably be emotional mess as well when we finish reading. It's fine.
But I think it'll be good, and I mean, who knows? I say that I'm open to possibly doing standalone books featuring other side characters that we've met.
That's really cool.
I think it would be fun to see some of their stories explored. I wouldn't be opposed to that. So you never know.
Yeah, a couple of people asked if you planned on writing any novellas or short stories because they don't want the whole story to end. Is that something you consider? Maybe?
Yeah, I have the Meeting Thomas Cresswell novella.
Okay.
That one just got released. That was a pre-order campaign for the Hunting Prince Dracula second book.
Okay.
That's now published in the mass market paperback of Stalking Jack the Ripper. So readers can get that. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're going to translate that one, but
we'll ask Darkside later. Someone's watching. Darkside, if you're watching, please translate it. Yes, I'm available.
I have some things for the third book. I can't make any announcements yet. There'll be bonus material for Escaping from Houdini, and there's also going to be bonus material for the paperback version of Hunting Prince Dracula. So
that's cool.
We'll have more bonus content from different characters.
That's really cool.
I think that's all I can say about that. There'll be plenty of goodies and stuff coming.
Okay, we'll manage to stay calm until the next book comes out here.
I love writing the novellas, so it's really, for me, if people would like to read them, I really love writing them. I have a lot of fun with it.
That's cool. There's a question here. What's your best advice for aspiring authors? I'm currently curing a YA historical fiction piece, and you already inspired me so much.
Oh, that's so sweet. First of all, thank you so much. It totally brightened my night, even though it's getting really dark in here. It's really stormy out around here, so I'm sorry if I can put the lights on if it's too dark for anyone. But my best advice is to keep writing and to never give up. It took me 5 books before I signed with my agent. It took me another 2 on top of that. I think Stalking Jack the Ripper was like my 7th or 8th novel that I ended up writing. And it's perseverance. It's a lot of luck in the publishing world, and it's having the right story at the right time, and just keep writing and creating and honing your craft, and just wear those, if you get rejections, wear them like a badge of honor, and don't take it as something that is a judgment on you. Just continue, kind of like Audrey Rose, like put your head down and quietly keep going down the path that you're choosing, and just know that, you know, every book you write will be a stepping stone and an opportunity to get published. And
slightly fight the patriarchy on the way.
Fight it, exactly. Doing your part, where it's hard, it's not easy. There are plenty of times where I was like crying, where it's like, what is wrong with my life? I'm never going to do that. Yeah, just keep going, because eventually you're going to have the right story at the right time, and it's gonna be magical.
I was kind of rereading some parts of the book to make the questions, and I thought it was really sweet when I read the acknowledgments when you mentioned your writing group, and all the people that read the book beforehand and read they did the first synopsis, not the synopsis, the first reviews and all that, and it's always really, really, really sweet to see the authors doing writing groups and supporting each other. And I think you think Renee Audier, is it how?
Yes.
And a couple other authors, like, oh, this is really cool. Authors supporting other authors and thanking them and interacting like that. I think it's always nice to see that it's a community of writing. It's not competition. It's a community. We all write. We all publish books. Well, not me, but everyone writes. Everyone writes books, and it's really nice to see that on the acknowledgments of a book when you finish reading. Especially such a good book.
Oh, thank you. I think one of the best things about the writing community is that, you know, there doesn't have to be competition. Someone's success in one area doesn't mean that there's only like so much of a pie to go around. Sometimes I found that in publishing that success in this area often opens up the door to having, like, we're talking about thrillers and mysteries. It's like you have success with a couple of these, and guess what? Then publishers are willing to take a chance on having more mysteries and thrillers because they see that these are doing okay. And it's just, I think that supporting other writers is so, so important, because it's just, you're never going to be taking away from the publishing pie. You're only going to be adding to it and adding voices and stories and, you know, just multitudes of books. It's just a wonderful thing. So,
It's really
supporting each other is really good.
Yes.
Goodbye.
There's one question here. We were talking about theories about the killer in your book, but someone mentioned that a lot of people believe that actually Jack the Ripper, the original one, was a woman. Do you agree with that? And I'm just going to add to that question, who do you think he was? He or she or they was? You've done a lot of research. You probably have some material on that. You probably have an educated guess.
Well, I guess I can do spoilery things now. But I originally, too, I dabbled with the idea of having Audrey Rose be Jack the Ripper.
Ooh.
Just to kind of to go with that theory, and it would be kind of interesting to see, you know, her learning about forensics while she's kind of doing that. So, before I started writing, before I came up with Nathaniel's character profile, I toyed with that idea because I thought that was a very interesting concept when I came across that. You know, was Jack the Ripper a female? I don't know. It could be. That's why he was never found, because they just weren't looking for a woman. They just didn't think a woman would be capable.
Oh my God, that's so true.
I don't know, if I had to guess, I would think that even though there was a show on TV around here not too long ago, I think this past year, it was called The American Ripper, and it was H.H. Holmes' descendant, and he was kind of going on the case where they thought H.H. Holmes, who was America's first serial killer,
they
thought maybe he was Jack the Ripper because he had been over in England at the time, and they have like just records of him going and coming back, and the timeline definitely kind of matches up. So it's a possibility. I don't know. I always kind of liked him as a suspect, but I think that some other things where it's like, one of the princes there. It could be a very interesting thing that they would cover up if someone in that much power was doing something that subversive. Then maybe that's part of the reason why he wasn't caught, because he had friends in high places, or they didn't want to bring a scandal to the royal family. I don't know that.
I read that somewhere, that they were trying to figure out who it was, and they suspected someone in the royal family. And I think somewhere in the book you mentioned someone joked around and said, "Oh, who do they think it is? Someone from the parliament." Like, did she just make a little joke here? Yeah, she made a little joke here.
I did.
And I talked about the book with my dad, and he remembers reading a lot about Jack the Ripper and all that. He likes a lot of historical fiction. And he's so sure, he's 100% sure it's someone from the royal family. He's just completely convinced. I told him the whole story about the book. It's like, oh, this is really cool. But does she know there was someone from the royal family? It's like, that's not confirmed. It's totally someone from the royal family.
Your dad has a very good point.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think something that's very plausible that could have happened.
Yeah, totally. When you were researching his whole story, did you have any help doing that? Or was it something that you wrote the book before, you had to pitch it to your agent and all that? Right? You had 2 books beforehand. Did you do all the research by yourself, or do you guys plan out how it will go, depending on what story you wanted to write?
Yeah, my agent's very, very supportive. It's usually like I'll come up with an idea and we'll kind of brainstorm so she could see if it's a good idea to start with.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we're going to try something different to the table. That's not probably it. So when I told her like all the different aspects of, what would come to be stalking Jack the Ripper, she was super excited. Like, her first thing is like, go write the book we both want to read. And yeah, so that kind of set me down the path of researching. And since I'd already been, it's always bad to say, but I was obsessed with the case since I was a teenager myself. So I felt like I had a lot of the basic facts and knowledge down pat. And then I found thecasebook.org, and it's just every newspaper article from across the world has been uploaded, and it was just really, really, like, you could spend hours and hours and hours and weeks on the site just pouring through all the information. So yeah, I did all the research myself. I usually research really heavily, and I'll make notes in a different document while I'm starting down.
Yeah.
While I'm sitting down to write, so I kind of have like the whole base to go from, and then kind of plot out where I want it to go. For me, with the Jack the Ripper case, it was kind of just, since I was doing it from the angle of the forensic people behind the scenes, I just kind of had to find the framework of the actual historical events and kind of imagine what were the people doing the night before, like what were their lives like leading up to this. So,
ooh, it's really
lots
cool.
of history research. Light on in here? Is it getting too dark for?
It's kind of dark, but I think it's okay. I think we can still see. It gives you a gothic kind of vibey thing. It's fine. It matches the book. It's okay. So now I have a surprise for the people who are watching. I'm going to give away 2 books. And I think those ones have the character cards. Sorry you don't have those, but they'll probably figure it out a way to send you. But okay, so I'll just switch back quickly to Portuguese so I can explain everything what's going to happen. Então, gente, vamos fazer agora aqui um sorteio de 2 kits da Dark Side de Rastro de Sangue, Jack o Estripador. Mandem aqui. Olha, tá pra funcionar isso aqui. Eu acho que ele tá pra funcionar. Tô vendo todo mundo que tá colocando. Fiquem tranquilo. Que bom, ela foi beber água, tá tranquilo então. Beleza. Oh, that's much better.
Sorry, my sister sent me a text. She said, turn on the light. So I fixed it.
Let me see if this works out. Okay. No, that's not going to work out. Let me see if I can do random. Well, again, internet hates me. There's something I wanted to... People are asking me to tell you from the chat box is that there's an event happens here in Brazil. We call it, it's Bienal. It's a biannual book fair thing that happens. And there's one happening this year here in São Paulo. And it's kind of like a book con. It's the closest thing we've got of a book con.
Oh, that's so fun.
And it's probably too close, like too soon and too much logistics and all that for you to come to this year. But people are saying they really hope you can come at some point and visit and talk more about the book. So
is
hopefully.
That when that happens, and I see my other cat. Sorry, my other cat's coming in here. She usually jump up and get involved when mommy's doing things. Is that when it happens in August?
Yeah, it's on August 3rd to August 12th.
Yes, I haven't heard about that, and it is something that I would definitely be interested in.
Yeah.
You know, doing in the future. I would love to come to Brazil. It would just be it's on our bucket list. So definitely something that would be such an honor.
Yeah, hopefully it will happen soon. Let's cross our fingers. Dark side, please make it happen. It'll be so much fun. Okay, so let's do another kind of giveaway. Let's try with a question and answer. So let's make up a question, and the first person who answers it on the chat box will win. Something from the book. What should we do? What's... Oh, I don't remember this one. Remind me. What's Audrey Rose's aunt's name?
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't quite remember it, but you do, so it's fine. Qual é o nome da tia da Audrey Rose, gente? Quem responder primeiro, a gente vai ficar de olho aqui no chat. Pega o primeiro kit. Fica de olho aí, Fogs. Quem vai responder primeiro? Okay, so what's Audrey Rose's aunt's name? There's a lot of commas and details to say that. Okay. It's kind of hard. Okay, let's see if someone gets it. Guys, you have to read the book. Dois kits. So that's the first question. And the second question, what can we do? What do you think? What is something that people don't often remember about the story? I want to do hard questions.
I say maybe Nathaniel's favorite book. Is that too easy?
Ooh, no, I don't remember it.
Rose's favorite book.
Ooh. Audrey Rose. What's Audrey Rose's favorite book? Is it Mary Shelley? No, it's not Mary Shelley, is it? Is it Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? No. It totally could be. It also could totally be Nathaniel's favorite book. But I think okay, someone answered it. Okay, someone answered it. I think Marin was the first one to answer, but I think Marin lives abroad, so that's troubling. Okay, someone Brazilian, please. Sorry, Marin. Was it Karen? Foi a Karen que respondeu primeiro? Oh, a lot of people answered. Okay, so Karen got it right. Amelia, that's her aunt's name. Okay, so now, what's Audrey Rose's favorite book? Qual é o livro favorito da Audrey, gente? Vamos ver. Let's see if people are quick. A lot of people knew this one.
Wow.
A lot of people, like 20 people knew this one.
It's for everyone.
People were saying come to São Paulo for the 2020 Bienal event. That would be really cool.
Hey, that would be really fun.
Hopefully the Hunting Prince Dracula will be out by then. Hopefully. Maybe Houdini as well. I don't know. And that would be really fun.
That would be really fun. I would have a great time when it comes to see all of you guys and enjoy all your delicious foods.
So we actually just had the Dark Side brought an author from the Netherlands a couple of weeks ago. It was Thomas Oderhilvoet. He's the author of Hex, and we gave all the foods, all the Brazilian traditional weird foods ever. So so you probably try all of that. So let us know if you have any dietary restrictions, because we put all the cards on the table. Someone said Frankenstein.
This is true.
No.
It's true.
Mary.
Mary? Quem falou? Let me see. So, Karen got the first one. A lot of people are asking, now that I said that, a lot of people are asking you to come to Brazil. So now you have a
I'll be there, I promise.
Have you noticed how Brazilian fans are really eager on Twitter to make authors come to Brazil? we're really excited.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, too, who's watching and who's been supporting and tweeting and putting all the stuff all over Instagram. I mean, I see all those pictures and all the excitement, and it's so, so humbling, and I hope you know that it means so much to see so many readers all over the world just really getting so excited about this series. It's more than I could have ever dreamed about, so thank you.
Thank you for writing the series and for taking the time to talk to us about it. And it's really cool. You have to take your time from your book, from your writing time. Maybe you're planning some other book there. While we wait to see who got this, and we just figure out the whole giveaway thing. What can we expect from Hunting Prince Dracula?
Hunting Prince Dracula. Let's see. Well, Audrey is just kind of hit rock bottom from the discovery of Jack the Ripper. I'm sorry, someone just set off a firework outside.
It's fine, I can hear it. It's fine.
The cat's just all scattered.
Oh boy.
Set my brain working. Who's shooting us? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, she just I really gave it a rough time for her with kind of grappling with some PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder, with all of that. And, I mean, rightfully so. And just kind of dealing more with the patriarchy and kind of quietly doing her thing. She goes to an all-boys school. She's just the first female who's going, and it's kind of trying to find her place and just really assert herself where she's allowed to be there, and anyone who, I guess it's like the most qualified person should be doing something and not necessarily based on looks or sex or anything. So yeah, she kind of grapples with that. And then, of course, the whole townspeople believe that, you know, Dracula has risen and he's the one who's coming to commit these crimes. So being a girl of science, she was like, I don't really believe in vampires, so how do you go about disputing myths and legends, and how do you kind of figure out a case where it might be a vampire?
That is really cool. So you're just going to make her the whole scientist, logics, all that kind of person, and you're just going to break the whole thing down again. That's really cool.
Just going to break it all. Just traumatized. I'm sorry in advance, but it was fun.
Well, it was fun for you to write. It probably will be fun for us to read. It's okay.
Hopefully so.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm really sorry for all the trouble and all the confusion with the technical things and my mild English skills. I promise when you come to Brazil, I'll speak a lot better than this. I'm just nervous.
No, amazing. Just completely amazing. Your English is much better than my Portuguese.
Well, that's not fair, but it's fine. I'll take it. Thank you so much. If you want to give a little message to the readers, take your time. Go ahead. Everybody's listening.
I just want to say thank you guys so much for really just being passionately involved with Audrey Rose and Thomas, and I hope that you guys really enjoy their next adventure. I hope that, you know, it's everything you hope for and more with Stalking Jack the Ripper, and it kind of keeps building up with just really falling in love with the characters and their lives and what they're doing. And yeah, I'm so appreciative for all of the love that I've been seeing online, and all the pictures and the bookstagrams and the tweets and all the excited messages on Facebook too. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for making this, you know, one of the biggest dreams come true for me. So thank you for hanging out with me tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving this amazing interview, and it's really fun, and hopefully your cats will be okay now, even with the fireworks.
Yeah,
they were stressed out a little bit, sorry. Ok, obrigada, gente, por acompanharem essa live stream aqui. A gente vai encerrar um pouquinho, mas eu vou aguentar um pouco para poder falar um pouco com vocês aqui no chat. Então eu vejo vocês na próxima. Kerri, thank you, and I'll talk to you later.